and welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester. We've got a cracking episode lined up for you guys today. We'll be talking to a brilliant comedian called Connor Burns. Then we'll be heading over to Daisy Nook Garden Centre, where Belinda and Mark will be giving you guys some tips on how to improve your Christmas.
Well-behaved women rarely make history.
We need deeds, not words. Ladies, if you wanna be heard, we need blood, sweat, tears. Got to find a way to face our fears. There's no way we'll be subjected with no saying who's elected. Hit 'em where it hurts. We need deeds, not deeds, not words. Deeds, not words.
And now we have a brilliant interview from a brilliant Scottish comedian called Connor Burns. So, Connor, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Very much for having me.
Well, you're a comedian, right? So tell us a little bit about why you got into that.
Honestly, I got into it. I was the best man at my brother's wedding, and I wrote the speech, and people laughed when I wanted them to laugh. So then I was like, right, maybe I can do this. And then I waited like about a year, went to my first open mic, and the good people of Glasgow let me know that no, you can't do this yet. There's a lot of work still to do. But then I just got the bug, kept doing it. And thank God, because I've had a bunch of jobs before comedy and I was useless at all of them. So I really need this to work.
That sounds brilliant. And am I right in saying that you've got a tour as well called Vertigo, where you'll be going around the UK?
Yeah. So I did it at the Edinburgh Fringe for the whole month, and it just it went a bit crazy. Like we weren't really expecting it to do as well as it did. So post Fringe, we started planning a tour, and it was originally going to be just like 10 dates around the UK, and then it became 15 dates, and it's grown arms and legs a bit. So now I think we're doing 44 dates.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're all over the place at the minute.
So you're coming to the Lowry, so you're coming on the 19th of January?
Yeah, correct, yeah. So I'm really excited. I've only ever been in the Lowry to open for far more successful comedians. So I'm excited to bring my own show to my own fans. I'm looking forward to it.
Brilliant. I'll definitely be booking tickets. Tell us a little bit about why it's called Vertigo.
Yeah, well, I can't give too much away because it's kind of the big final story of the show. It all becomes very clear. But it's basically I had to come home from Canada really quickly because my dad was having a bit of a health scare. And I'll leave it there because there's a bit of a reveal at the end of the show. But basically, the big story at the end of the show that ties everything together. You'll realize very quickly why it's called that.
You see, now I definitely have to come and book tickets to try and find out.
That's the only reason I called it that.
Yeah. Now, with one thing with being a comedian, I'm sure you get heckled a lot. There's a lot of audience interaction. What's the best heckle that you've ever had?
I've had a few. The most crushing one though was when I was really new. I was still less than a year in, and you're just doing these really tough gigs all over the place, pubs and back rooms of social clubs and stuff. And I remember being in Scotland, you get used to like heckles and you can deal with that. But the worst one I ever had was the gig wasn't going very well. And I just heard this really nice kind of middle-aged woman just to herself. She didn't even really heckle, but she just went, "Come on, son, you can do it." And I was like, that's so much more crushing than a heckle. It's just like someone's mum being like, "Oh, come on, son, I believe in you."
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're now quite successful. You're doing really well for yourself. But what tips would you have for someone who maybe wants to get into being a comedian and is aspiring to do better?
Yeah, well, my thing is like the thing that's kind of boosted my career, I guess, is social media. I was a wee bit reluctant to it, of like posting clips and, you know, being all constantly on Instagram and stuff. But what I would say is, if you're new, be careful. That stuff will come later. You can use that to boost your career later. But there's two ways of doing it. I've seen really new acts have a couple of kind of super viral videos, and then on the back of that they'll book a tour, but they haven't like put the groundwork in and they're not ready to tour yet. So I think the best way to do it is spend a few years literally just head down in the comedy clubs, learning the craft, getting really good, and then really lean into the social media, because then if something does really pop off, you've got the kind of toolkit to deal with that.
And I mean, look, if you get all those toolkits together, then you can get a show like Vertigo going, which is in the Lowry on the 19th of January. And for all you guys viewing, you better go and book your tickets now. You can get them on the Lowry website. And I will definitely be coming to see that there. Thank you very much for coming, Connor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right, where are we, Miss Belinda Scandal?
We are here, which is more important than where we were when we weren't here.
That's absolutely true. We're at Daisy Nook Garden Centre, bringing you lots of Christmas tips.
Christmas
Tips.
tips.
Yes.
Well, these things have just changed my life.
Have they?
I'm just taking it out of his stand, because how is it even done?
I know, it's magic, isn't it?
It is magic. I hope it's picking up on the camera, because they actually go on for forever.
Into infinity.
And beyond.
Yes.
There you go. Hey? And they're dead light.
I know, they're good. And they're double-sided, so you can put them on a windowsill.
And
then
still
you've
have
got
the
something
pleasure in the
outside
living
and in.
room,
Yes, yeah.
So, here we are. This is a fabulous garden centre.
Yes.
Now, I suppose I've got to ask you, how does your year kind of begin in preparation, getting yourself ready for all this Christmas stuff?
So, in terms of buying, about the third week of January it starts.
No.
Yeah. So, I go off to a big trade show in Harrogate.
Yes.
And you have to place all your orders really by the end of February. So I go to the trade show, see what there is, and then end of January I start visiting suppliers.
Right.
Go off to the tinsel factory to see how tinsel is made.
Oh,
Yes.
clever, is it?
It's like a big washing machine, and all this plastic goes in, and there's a central wire, and it all goes like that and comes out as tinsel at the bottom.
That's quite amazing, isn't it?
So that's how I do the buying, and I have to then work on the layout of the shop and all the display ideas. All has to be done by March.
But I suppose then you've got to be a year ahead of what later year the trends of colours and things will be, won't you?
So by the middle of January, I have to have decided what colourways and trends we're doing.
And what trends are in at the moment then?
So candy cane is very in.
Right.
And very traditional.
Yeah.
And of course we've got the new Willy Wonka
Yes, film
film
coming out, yeah.
coming out, so that would reflect that. Also the very frozen
Frozen
colour
colours.
schemes, soft gold, blues and whites, that's in also. Last few years we've had a lot of pink.
Yes.
It's been very popular.
Yeah.
So that still continues, but we've added in more peach
Yeah.
as well to that, and what I call old gold.
Old gold, yeah.
And purple.
So would you say there's colours to avoid then?
I start with the colour of your room decoration.
Right.
And that, I think, should influence what you've got. So if you've got a green
Yeah.
and cream front room, then try and pick that up and exaggerate it, maybe with turquoises or emerald greens, whatever in the tree. So I would start with whatever your room decoration is.
Yeah. So if it's a nice pastel room, you'd avoid bright colours, would you? Or
No,
would
I'd go with bright colours.
You'd go with bright
Give
colours.
it a good zhuzh, yes, for
Right.
the dark nights in the winter.
Opposites attract scenario.
Absolutely. Right, oh my goodness me. It
Yes.
goes to Christmas.
I think
I was
I've-
going to say past, but I'll be kind, present.
Thank you. I think I found my favourite section in the garden centre. Things I can wear. No.
It looks lovely. It's very Dorothy Squires.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, when you can say it with flowers.
Well, indeed.
That's what I
How
say.
lovely.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
So, we've got lots of wreaths here. So, traditionally, the colours of Christmas were white for purity,
Oh, right.
which is what you're in, red, blood of Christ, and green, evergreen. And that's, of course, we've got the wreath. So, that's quite nice in the golds.
Oh, that's lovely.
That goes with my outfit.
That does actually. I'm
Now,
surprised
you're
you-
wearing that one.
I'm wearing this one. Let's show everybody. It's tipped
Yes.
in snow and glitter.
And glitter. You can't have too much of everything.
Well, I don't
can
think you can, no.
And then we've got the tinsels down here. But I brought you this along. So this is, you like the smell of real trees in Christmas.
I love the smell of real trees.
So if you're going to have a wreath or a garland or an artificial tree...
Don't tell me you can buy the scent for it.
You can buy the scent. So these are called scenticles. You get a few in a tube, so you use one normally.
Right.
And they come with hooks, and you hang that in your tree.
I can smell that. I've not even put it near my nose. I was wondering what to do with it, but I can smell it off.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Well, that's Christmas in a stick.
Well, it is. So you get £8. £8, that is, for a set of 6, is it? So yeah, 6 sticks and 6 hooks.
This is Father Christmas wishing everybody at home, all the Your Manchester viewers and podcast listeners, a very Merry Christmas.
Right.
Hello.
Hello, love.
We're
We keep
here
meeting
again.
like this, don't
This is
we?
lovely. Now, this has been one of my favourite plants for forever, and the other half has promised me that he'd get me one each year. Now, he's
Right.
not, because he says it's a faff to deal with, and that's why I want to deal with this today.
Well, the person who's going to tell us all about it is our friend Paul at Daisy Nook Garden Centre. So what can you tell us, first of all, why are they called poinsettias?
They're actually named after a US ambassador in Mexico in 1820. He was a Mexican ambassador, and he introduced it into America at that point in time, and they actually called it, and he was called Joel Poncet, and that's where they get the name from.
There we are. Yeah.
So it was introduced into America, and now it's one of the most popular houseplants for Christmas in America because of the colours. And there's lots of different colours available, but we've grown majority of them are red. That they grow.
And is it just the leaves that you get on them, or do you get any flowers on them or anything?
Well, they're not. These are not flowers.
They're not flowers.
These are bracts,
Bracts.
and the flowers are actually in the
Tony.
centre of
Tony
there.
Braxton.
Yes.
Yeah. So the flowers are actually in the centre.
Right.
So that little yellowy bit is the flower.
Now, that's what you need to do is when you're looking to buy a poinsettia or buy a poinsettia, you want to first of all make sure you get it from somewhere, a reputable source.
Right.
And the worst place you can buy it from is where it's outside or exposed to a bit of wind and the environment. You often see this in some of our supermarkets where they have them just inside the door.
Yeah.
And the wind and the plants that actually themselves are often dead because they don't like the continual change in temperature. And they need to be kept at a reasonable...
So that's why they're so good to last for the Christmas season, indoors then?
Yes.
Yes. But you've got to make sure that you keep them at an even temperature.
Even temperature.
Right.
You keep them at an even temperature. And when you first buy them, what you should do is if you go into a shop to buy them, that's the last thing you should buy, and you should take it home with you and then take it into the house and put it in the room where you want it, but don't take it out of the bag for about a couple of hours while it acclimatises to your room.
While it figures out where it is, right.
So while you take it out of the shop and across the car park and things, should you put it in a bag and tie the top?
Seal the top so that it just stops it, because otherwise it's going to get cold.
Right, you
They
wouldn't be
don't
able
like
to-
that sudden
No.
chill. And then you acclimatise it in your room, and then once you've done that, you then take the sleeve off,
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it lovely?
Beautiful.
and then it comes out of the sleeve like that, and then you can put it. It needs good light. It needs you can put it on a windowsill, but the important thing is if you put it on a windowsill, remember at night bring it into the room, because if you leave it on the windowsill, especially if you draw the curtains,
The chamber.
And what about watering it then?
watering? You always use your fingers to text for water with any house plant, and you put your fingers in and feel it should be moist. But when you water it, what you should do is you should water it with aired water. In other words, water you've boiled out of the hot tap or out of the kettle, which is cool, but it should not be cold. And just water it and just keep it moist. Don't let over water it. Just keep it on the dry side.
Didn't know
So I
that.
suppose it makes sense when you think it's from Mexico. It's not
Need-
going to
Yeah.
need that temperature and that warmish water, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's just that sort of environment, and you try to give it the best it can. And if you look after it, it'll continue right the way through into New Year, and you can grow it on. It'll keep growing, and they are actually grow to about 12 feet if you left it in Mexico.
They're only normally this size though that you see
Well,
them,
you never
aren't
see
they?
them at that size
No.
here.
Because we don't treat them properly, is it?
So yeah, but you can look after them. A lot of people buy them and put them in the home for Christmas, and they like our houses nowadays because of the warmth.
Right. So,
Yes?
what have we learned? It's a shower and a grower.
Well, we hope you enjoyed that little trip through lots of Christmas tips. And thank you to everyone here at Daisy Nook. I've had such an exciting time, I've practically lost my voice screaming and shouting.
Now, there's some great tips over from Belinda and Mark. I know that's definitely going to help me out this year. Now, one place that I've been looking at recently is the Great Northern Warehouse, which is a brilliant place in Manchester that originally opened in 1899. And it was used as a railway goods warehouse for many years up until 1954 when it closed completely. And it was just used as a car park after that until its £100 million renovation in 1999 when it was rebuilt. And now it's a cracking place to go in the centre of Manchester. They've got an Odeon cinema. They've got Lane 7, which I know is the best place to go. They've even got axe throwing, some great restaurants and bars as well. Now, if you guys don't have anything on next Wednesday, then you should be watching Your Manchester. But if you guys aren't doing that, then they've also got open mic every Wednesday night at the Lion's Den as well. Also tomorrow, they've got the She Choir, which is filled with some brilliant female and non-binary singers. So if you guys want to go and head down there, then you can just look up on the Great Northern Warehouse website where you guys can have a look at all the other events and things that are going on as well. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. We had a great episode today. Now, make sure that you guys tune in for next week's episode, which is our Christmas special, where we see Belinda and Mark and the whole gang all together. And make sure to tune in at 8 p.m. on Your Manchester.